name's Ryan, and I'll be your pilot tonight. I am joined alongside my co-pilot. I've got Joe Blewett from Jets X Factor. Joe, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing really well. I want to clear up three things right off the bat, Ryan. We're talking pre-show. One, the shirt says for Prez. It's a Zach Wilson shirt. That's number one. Number two, I'm in a championship fantasy game. So if you hear me scream like a little bitch, it's because Freiermuth scored a touchdown and he cannot score touchdowns. He cannot get 2 touchdowns tonight. If he gets 2, I am screwed. So really root against Freiermuth, please God. 3, with that all being said, I'm excited, man. It's a good game. Like, obviously the Jets have millions of fans. Nobody's ever going to be happy. Like not everybody's going to be happy. But the fact that they competed with Tom Brady, Zach Wilson played well, and for the tankers out there, they still have the draft pick. Like, it was a good game. You know, I would obviously like to see them send off Brady with a loss the last time playing the Jets, most likely. But with all being said, it didn't burn as much. It's not like we're competing for a playoff spot. So.
Yeah, I completely agree. That was something that I definitely loved. Like, it seemed like there was a little bit for everyone. It was like one of those like a movie for the whole family, basically. I'm watching. I'm like, okay, I can't wait to take down like Brady. Like, this is fine. Like, I have no problem like winning this game and losing out on the draft pick. Like, this is just gonna feel oh so sweet. And then to watch him go down the field, I'm like, well, I guess if he scores, it's not like the worst thing. It's like kind of nice. Like, I don't mind losing by way of the defense, just because like we are so kind of beat up in that area, both from an injury perspective and just a lack of assets kind of pushed into that side of the ball. But yeah, dude, overall, great game to watch as a fan. Jets wind up losing 24-28. So what was your, let's start with like the biggest thing right here, right? Bam! Zach Wilson shines without his top 4 wide receivers. Let's get right into it. Zach, tell me, Joe, tell me your thoughts.
I do have his face on my shirt, so maybe you can just call me Zach.
That's why I'm so confused. I almost said, Zach Wilson, give me your thoughts on Joe Blewett.
Should I just put it over my head and just talk?
It's like the dinosaur shirt underneath.
Cut out some holes.
I love it. What were your thoughts on Zach Wilson?
He was good, man. Like, that game was really, really exciting. And even last week, like, people think, and I went over the whole Titans game for the people who watch the film. I know there's some people in here who watch my show specifically. That game was really good, but from a process standpoint, I wasn't as high in it. The last 2 games, even though the Jaguars game, minus 102 yards, whatever people want to say about that, his process was so much cleaner. His footwork was so much cleaner. He was so much more concise. He was so much better in the pocket. His transitional footwork from read to read was all really, really good. And I was hyped up about it, like, truly. And then going into this game, of course, you have the pessimists who say, okay, well, it's just against the Jaguars. Who gives a shit, So I was hoping the same thing, came to fruition with the Bucs. Elijah Moore is out. Jamison Crowder's out. Davis is out. Michael Carter's out after the first drive. He got the concussion, which now he's injury prone, which is weird, but we'll ignore that down the road. But with that being said, yeah, Coleman's out. Like, with all of that, with no support on defense for the most part, he balled out. Like, he made 5 or 6 high level throws, like legitimately really good throws, looked really comfortable in the pocket. His accuracy was top notch. In terms of like ball placement on the back shoulder to avoid, linebackers, to avoid safeties. That window that he threw in on the goal line, I think, to Berrios over a jumping linebacker was ridiculous. The throw over the middle to Berrios when he was diving, ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Even the play which people ignore with a free rusher up the gut, and he has enough like moxie to stand in there versus that free blitzer and throw the ball with obviously an adjusted arc to get to Ty Johnson. Like, he was phenomenal this game, phenomenal. So with that being said, against one of the top contenders in the entire league with depleted weapons in his first year, you could not be happier with this game from Zach. It was legitimately like an A level game from him, which is the first game I think he's had this year. And I think the Jags game is probably the closest to that. And now we've stacked up these games towards the end of the year where, coming back from injury, Texans game was a plus game. The Dolphins game was a plus game to me. This game was a plus game, obviously. The Jags game, the Eagles game, which I was away for that game. That's why I just forgot that off the top of my head. But yeah, 5 out of 6 games he's been back for. Thank you. Back for have been pretty good. But these last 2 ones, from a processing standpoint, not results, ignore them with the Jags game, but the process, the quarterback standpoint, it's been really, really, really encouraging.
Dude, I'm so excited. I'm glad you brought up the accuracy because there were the two throws in particular that really stuck out to me. It was the one to Berrios that he was like kind of falling down just below the defender's hand, and the other one, did you bring it up that the 𝐗-𝐭𝐬 one like 2 yards from the end zone or whatever it was? It was on a rope.
Okay, that was so that wasn't to Berrios again. You gotta the film's not out on Mondays; it's out on Tuesdays. But yeah, the one where he threw it over like 2 linebackers.
Yes.
There was a play where he held the linebacker in the middle. Knew there was a dig behind it coming. Threw that with really good anticipation. Like his anticipation, the accuracy has obviously taken a massive step up. Like there are so many ways he's improving right now. Like I said, not to keep saying the same thing, but you have to be super, super encouraged.
Dude, I'm really excited, and it's these little things that we're seeing throughout the games. Last week, was it last week or this week? Losing my train of thought now. This week, the thing I was really harping on was like the working the play clock, the hard count. Like using the hard count on that first drive, he got 2 guys to jump off sides, getting himself some free plays. And then he winds up getting LDT to jump on the next drive. So it's like, frustrating, but really cool. Like those are those subtle nuances. And then you see him in the previous games working the hurry up and getting him up to the line of scrimmage and catching multiple people on the field, like 12 men on the field, getting the free play there. Like this is the stuff you're seeing from a young quarterback that you don't generally see from a young quarterback. And for him to understand it, even at this point in the season, is just like really, really exciting to see. And I think this is where he starts to really, I think he's going to take a big step next year. I really do. And one of those things that people have kind of brought up, and it's weird. I don't know if did you see the Bart Scott thing on the post game at all or hear? I'm sure you heard about it. Dude, people are like that whole SNY crew just like shit all over Zach Wilson and calling the 4th and 2 like he's going for glory and all this other stuff. It's all about, him. He wants to make the play and all that crap. Well, if you don't know what we're talking about the 4th and 2. Bart Scott went off on Zach Wilson, and Zach had said something along the lines of like the A gaps were clear. And that's why I switched to the option. There was 2 options. He could have either handed it off to Berrios on the jet sweep, or he could have quarterback sneaked it if the A gaps were clear. Now, it's weird because the A gaps were technically clear, but there were 3 guys along like right in front, and they kind of baited Wilson into that look specifically, and he took the bait. And I think that's more on LaFleur and Saleh maybe not preparing him for that kind of thing. I don't know why you would even option to a quarterback run with 2, like a 4th and 2 anyway. Like it just seems kind of silly. So I don't think he should have had that option, but I do think it's kind of cool that Zach has enough knowledge that he sees that in front of him and he automatically knows, hey, this is the right call. And he's apparently made this decision a few times throughout the last few weeks. So what were your thoughts on the 4th and 2 call, the dynamic that kind of went into it? And do you blame Zach? Is it somewhere in between? How do you feel about that whole situation?
Yeah, we still have to understand like he's a rookie quarterback. And even in the Jags game, or maybe it's a Dolphins game, but there was a few times where like even with just like RPOs, like he's better, but there's still some mental mistakes. Like specifically with the RPOs, there's one time where he's supposed to hand it off, and there's another time where he's supposed to throw it, just based on the look and zone versus man. I mean, he didn't do that. And in this situation, again, I think it's the end of the game. He's excited. He sees an open A gap. And they have like that kill system, that can system where you go to the line with 2 plays. You have the base play. If you don't like that look, you can it. You go to the other play. And with that motion, you had the 2 options, either to hand it off to Berrios or to sneak up the middle. And he saw that open A gap, and I think he just got a little bit overzealous. I think he saw it, didn't really understand where he was. 4th and 2, 4th and really long 1, not the best situation, especially with the Bucs defense, where when the Jets were having success on the ground, it was to the outside. So specifically look at their interior offensive line. You have guys like 𝐉𝐞𝐭𝐬 and 𝐷𝐐𝐿 Suh. It's a little bit harder to run in the inside,
especially with Dan Feeney.
Yeah, especially with Dan Feeney, who to be fair has been playing better than we thought he would in the 2 games he's been back, but. And I really like those jet sweep end around type looks versus in short yard situations, because the offensive formation is condensed, the defense is condensed. They're expecting something in the middle. They're super aggressive in the middle. You hand it off to the edge. Berrios. We have enough faith to get that first down there. So I really think they would have probably got that if they handed off to Berrios there. But I think there's a little bit of Zach being overzealous, and I think there's also, like you said, on the coaching staff. You're coming out of a timeout. It's not like you're in a hurry up. In that situation, which I don't understand more, but coming out of a timeout, you have to say, hey, listen, we're just going to run the sweep here. You're going to can it right away, or you're going to go that option right away. We're not going to have you sneak it from this far away. Their defensive line is just too good. So I think it's mutual blame. I don't think it's really on either one, but him trying to take all the glory and the Bart Scotts and Willie clones. Again, these guys, they thrive on being uber positive or uber negative, and that's how they get clicks. They don't care about having smart football opinions. That's not what they're built on. So them getting clicks, you getting mad, you retweeting it, you quote tweeting it, and other people click on the articles. SNY sees the views, not dislikes or likes. They see the views, they see the comments, and they still have jobs. I know I saw you guys, and I think the last time I was on here, you had like boycott the media. I saw like other things.
Yeah, boycott the beat,
that was baby. About. So okay, boycott the beat. So yeah, for those things, that's why I don't really look into it, because I'm not supporting that type of work. It's just there's way too many good content creators out there to support that bullshit. So it's more bullshit from them. No surprise, but yeah, I don't really look into it.
Yeah, 100%. And what the hell? We can have a rookie mistake last week when Trevor Lawrence spikes the ball on 3rd and 1 on the goal line. Let's not even talk about him juking out of bounds 5 yards before the touchdown. Like that's the reason that guy doesn't have a passion for football, and Zach Wilson does. Like I'd rather my guy Zach Wilson want the ball in his hands for that critical play than stepping out of bounds, trying to save like a little bit of clock. Maybe he won't get in or all this other crap. Like, no, sorry. I'll take Zach Wilson over Trevor Lawrence right now. 100%. I love everything we're getting from Zach.
And Lawrence too. Like that was like what you mentioned, like which by the way, that run on 1st down that they had, like just beyond the 50 with like 50 seconds left on a draw, no timeouts, beyond dumb. And then he runs the ball, and he has a flat-footed Echols who's like 185, 190 pounds, runs out of bounds. And then they spike the ball on 3rd. I'm like, what are you guys doing? And then I was on Red Zone on my phone, and I saw like NFL Mobile, like one of their headlines was, which I just saw the play on Red Zone. It was like Trevor Lawrence demolishes the Patriots with a 38-yard bomb in capital letters. I'm like, since when is 38 yards a bomb? 1 and 2. I watched the play, and he throws up a ball into like double coverage, and he gets lucky it's not picked off, and he demolished the Patriots. I was like, the way these guys are covered is absurd. The difference in these kids, but I guess it's because his uncle owns JetBlue, so he's an asshole,
Our Muggs drops in with a super chat. Thank you, dude. He says, I'm remembering y'all laughing at me when I said Berrios was extremely underrated a few months back. Look at me now. I don't know what you're talking about, because I definitely like Berrios, so you guys can go kick rocks. I thought he would have been a very nice replacement for Crowder way back when. I didn't think he'd have this kind of season. I'm definitely very happy with what we're getting out of him there. Which I guess, do you have more to say on Zach, or what we were kind of going back and forth on, or should we jump to another topic here?
It's your show. I could say, obviously, I know people don't want to watch it. I don't really promote myself too much on this, but if you're going to be excited to watch film, I'll do at least 30 to 40 minutes of Zach this week. So go watch, because I know I'm going to gush over some of those plays I saw. So I'll wait for that down the line.
For those of you that are just tuning in, I got Joe Blewett from Jets X Factor. His information is down in the description down below. He is one of the greatest Jet content creators and just film analysis guys I've ever had the privilege to know. And this guy, legitimately, anytime I'm looking at tape, I'm going straight over to Jets X Factor. I'm looking up Joe's. I literally sat down and watched your Justin Hardy cornerback gunner review. Like I think it was like a 30-minute long video, 25-minute long, whatever it was. 1 a.m. I'm sitting there. I'm just like enjoying this. Wow. Elijah Moore joined the channel. Elijah Moore. I'm sure that's definitely the real one. Thank you so much for joining the channel. Boys and girls, drop some JETS in the chat for our newest member, Elijah Moore, joining the channel. So let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk a little Braxton Berrios. He has 10 touches, 77 yards, and 2 touchdowns yesterday. This guy has been a lot of fun to watch. I've really enjoyed it. He gives me shades of 𝐗-𝐭𝐬. It's just that the short little like slot receiver that can get you the yardage you need. And it's just something I really, really like seeing. And it seems like he plays with a lot of heart. Like when I'm looking at this roster, at least on the offensive side of the ball, I'm looking at guys that like really give it their all every play from like a weapon perspective. I would say Berrios and Carter are my 2 favorite. I mean, not that Elijah Moore isn't. We just haven't seen a whole lot of him, I guess. I don't know. I'm excited for Berrios.
You're going to talk shit about Elijah Moore. You just joined your
No!
That is ballsy.
Get the fuck out of here. No way I'm not talking shit about Elijah Moore. He just joined the channel. I love him. No, I'm really excited for Berrios, and I'm curious to see where this contract extension talk winds up going. Apparently, they started talking negotiations today. What are your thoughts on Braxton Berrios, and how do you feel about him overall?
Yeah, I think obviously, like, it's not on skill level. Like, I know people, when you hear the 𝐗-𝐭𝐬 thing, no way he's 𝐗-𝐭𝐬. I think it comes from, obviously, one, he's short. One, he's white. One, he's scrappy. Like that's what it is. Let's be
Yep.
honest. But he has like that toughness that you like to see for sure. He shows up after Christmas, the interview. He's in a Rudolph costume. Like he doesn't take himself too seriously. He loves the Jets. He loves football. He's, let's be honest, based on numbers or based on the eye test, he is a really good returner. He's in the top 5 in both kick returns and punt return yard averages. He hasn't fumbled the ball, to my knowledge, this year.
So.
I don't think so. I can almost guarantee that. So he's a super reliable returner. 1 and 2, and 3. He's a reliable slot receiver. I don't think he's a guy who I necessarily want to start yet. Like I'm not at that point, and I get that Jets fans love him, just like we love Quincy Williams. But I think there's a difference between like guys we love and then realizing what a really good slot receiver is. Because Crowder versus him, Crowder's still a better slot receiver than he is. But Berrios still adds more because of his multi-dimensional play. That's not the right term for it, but returner, slot, backup slot, and a like gadget guy. So he's really a multi-dimensional for the Jets and a guy who loves to be here. So I think you have to re-sign him at this point. You don't want to be like, oh, $5 million, too much, get rid of the guy. It's like, we have so much money. Let's not get rid of our good players who the last 2 weeks on offense, minus Zach Wilson, Braxton Berrios has been the best guy. Let's not dump him off because you know who's going to sign him if they don't sign him. He's going back to the Patriots, and it's going to be a Danny Woodhead thing on steroids. So we can't see that. We have to sign him.
Yeah, no, I would hate to see him go to the Patriots after we already signed him from the waiver wire from the Patriots. Like, that's what I love so much about this, is it's like I love stealing people away from like division rivals. It just makes me smile on the inside.
Yeah.
Now, Braxton Berrios, real quick, 56 touches this year, 500 yards, 7 touchdowns, 30.4 yards per return. That doesn't include his return yardage, obviously, or his I don't know if it actually didn't include his touchdown. He actually has 8 touchdowns. Guys maybe in the wheelhouse of similar play styles, I guess. I shouldn't even say play styles, but like gadget type guys contract wise. Cordarrelle Patterson, 1 year, $3 million this year. So I'm sure he'll get a nice deal next year. Yeah. Darren Sproles back in the day, 4 or 5 years ago, was getting $4 or $5 million. Jamison Crowder renegotiated to go down to $5.5 million. Originally, he signed a 3-year, $28.5 million deal. So I kind of get the vibe that Joe Douglas would like to be somewhere around that renegotiated price for Crowder. Maybe he goes $6 million. I was saying 3 years, $18 million would be spot on, or 3 years, $21 million. Somewhere in that wheelhouse, I think is just right for Braxton Berrios.
Yeah, that's literally my last year. I said I would guess it's like 3 years, $18 million, $11 million guaranteed. And people thought I was crazy, but like you look at the Hardy contract, and Hardy was signed for like, it was like $3.5 million a year, right? And you'd argue that a kick returner, punt returner is more important than a gunner. Like a really good, obviously, returner is better than a gunner. So you have that, so he's equal in value right at that $3.5 million, right? Let's say 3.5. Let's call it. Let's be safe with that. And then you add in the value of him being a gadget guy and a backup slot receiver. That's worth about $1.5 million, $2 million. So you're looking at 3.5 plus $1.5 million, $2.5 million. You're looking at what I guess would be $5.5 million, $6 million before this week, and I still think it's going to be that. So yeah, I would be fine with a 3-year, $18, $19 million contract for him at this point. I know it seems a little high, and people will compare those other contracts, but you have to understand that the cap in the next couple of years is going to skyrocket from TV deals. So you're not like people are like, oh well, this last guy made that. Okay, you automatically have to top that because in free agency it's going to get topped. So yeah, I would say $5-6 million, and I would definitely do it.
Yeah, I think you'd be silly not to do it at this point. Not to mention, like, I'm not calling him a wide receiver 1, but when he clearly is our wide receiver 1 for like the last 2 weeks, like he has put up really nice numbers. And this is like everyone knows he's getting the ball. Michael Carter's out. Who else is getting the ball? It's going to Berrios most of the time. It's who Zach Wilson has the best rapport with. He has his trust. Like this is everything that I wanted to see from Denzel Mims, and like just not getting it. We're not getting it. So I love me some Braxton Berrios, and I'm really excited to see where this contract goes.
By the way, before we move on to the next thing, so I know we are, I feel it. You have to give credit. This is another Douglas thing. You have credit for him. You have Braxton Berrios. You have Quincy Williams, who's a low-tier starter level backup, but for a waiver wire pickup, that's great. And JFM, like you're looking at 3 guys, 𝐗-𝐅𝐸, Bryce Huff. There's some guys he's picked up in waiver wire UDFA who are really balling out. So you have to give credit to this, or to JD for that, but people won't. So.
Dude, I should have included Guidry and Huff in my video, because the video I put out of Braxton Berrios literally like an hour and a half, 2 hours before this stream, I included John Franklin Myers, Quincy Williams, and Berrios, all as waiver wire pickups. Like, I know people want to get on Douglas for I don't want to say missing on Becton. He didn't miss on Becton. Becton's just hurt. But missing on Mims, and like how that 2020 draft class looks kind of disappointing. People want to get on him for that. It's like, well, hold on. The draft class is one thing, but he's also hitting on a ton trades, on free agency, on waiver wire pickups, like all across the board. Like, this guy is way smarter than just one meh draft, is what I'll call it. Because I'm still excited. I'm still looking forward to it. Yeah. Now let's see. We're gonna jump over Garcus Bloodlust. Whew, sorry, words are hard. Thank you for the super chat, brother. He says, odds are we will have the 4th pick. Can Joe please give us his top 4 picks in the draft currently and who he thinks? Ooh, sorry, beer. Oh,
you're going to say that's definitely a beer burp.
Dude, it definitely doesn't sound good, because I post this. If you guys don't know, I post all these live streams on Podbean, so you can look it up as a podcast on all your favorite services and everything like that. And I'm sure a burp doesn't sound very attractive. It doesn't sound attractive with video, let alone without video.
And not even just a normal burp, but a beer burp where like the throw up was like right, it was like somewhere right here. I heard that one.
There was some heat to it. It came up from the stomach. Mm-hmm. All right, so who do you think the Jets end up with at 4? So who are your top 4 picks in the draft currently? Have you looked that far ahead, or are you kind of?
Yeah, I'm super base level like highlights right now. I'll always preface it by saying like I don't love to talk about players who I don't really know a lot about. I know a lot of people, and I'm not taking shots at anybody. I'm just saying I don't like to go and watch like 5-10 minutes of highlights and then say this guy is this, because there's hours and hours of film out there. But from based on what I see, who I think the top 4 guys will be, it's probably Neal, obviously Thibodeau, Hutchinson, and then I would probably say Karlaftis Hamilton as that 4th, 5th guy. That's without, again, doing, a lot of research that I will do down the road. So I'm hoping, and I was hoping that the Texans would beat the Niners and the Jets fall to third. And then, some team who's desperate for a quarterback, or Lions, whoever, they take a quarterback, and then one of the top 2 edge rushers, falls to 3. But the Jets are most likely going to be 4 now. I think the Texans have a good opponent next week, so I don't think they're going to lose. And the Jets are beating the Bills, so we don't have to worry about that.
I hope so, dude. There's no one like I know the Jets can't bounce the Bills from the playoffs, or at least I don't think so. But I would love to knock them out of like the division title, like that. Yeah, I don't care about the draft pick at this point. Like, just let's go out and pop someone in the mouth, because our free agency and the hype around this team is going to be so much higher if we knock out the Bills from the division title. It would just be such a great way to end the season.
Yeah. So just finishing the answer, I think if I had to say right now who they're going to end up with at 4, I think it's between Neal and Hamilton. Hamilton, just because, and we get that down the road. If he is generational, okay, I'm fine with it. If he's not, which I have to watch to really see, then no way. Don't take him. But the fact, like Neal, I could see it because you have Fant, who's going to be back next year, most likely. You have Becton, who, will be back. Well, obviously, Joe Douglas has to put an emphasis on the 3rd tackle on the team, because you can't rely on Becton's health right now. At this point, he could prove otherwise down the road, but you have to emphasize the 3rd tackle. So I think having a guy in Neal who could play tackle and guard, you slot him at right guard, and then if one of those guys is to go down, he can slot in at tackle. So, but I heard some mixed opinions on him. Some people really like him. Some people are lower towards the 10s with Neal. So I want to do my own research. And then Hamilton, again, it's if you look at each position individually, like I get the people, and I'm probably more on that train where while we understand that just individually, safety, linebacker are probably bigger needs just individually than receiver or right guard. I'm on board with, okay, get a guard, get a receiver, help Wilson out as much as you can, because next year we're hoping they compete like for a playoff spot or in that area. And then in 2023 is when you really make a run. So that's when you can really address defense. Right now, help Wilson as much as you can. But with that being said, I could still see Hamilton if he's that generational. So.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I fall as well. And I'm kind of flip-flopping back and forth on a lot of different things. And the way Douglas has shown his, I don't want to say lack of support towards safety, but it doesn't seem like it's a super high priority. Like, maybe he just doesn't like May a whole lot because he was 29 years old, and that could play a factor. Maybe he doesn't like Jamal because of the way he acted, and maybe his talent level wasn't quite there for the amount of money he was going to ask for. So, like, there's a whole bunch of like what ifs there. So my question is, I guess, would I look at free agency, possibly like a Marcus Williams? I don't think Jesse Bates shakes loose of Cincinnati, but I think there's a few potential options in free agency. I'm in this weird, like, Green Bean got me thinking more about Hamilton than I think I wanted to initially. Ideally for me in my head, I think the Jaguars go Neal at 1. I think they try to protect Trevor Lawrence. I think, yeah, because 2 of the last 3 years they've taken defensive like edge rushers in Josh Allen and what the fuck, Chase? I already say his name.
Chase?
Isn't no.
Oh, Chase on from the LSU, the rusher.
Yes, yeah. I think that's the one he took. I could be wrong on that, but I think
they had Josh Allen and Chase on.
Okay, yeah. So they took 2 in the first round over the course of the last like 3-4 years.
Yeah.
So I don't think they go with Hutchinson or Kayvon there, which is definitely nice because if Neal goes there, then you figure Hutchinson's got to go to Detroit. He stays in Michigan. I would be shocked if he got any further than Detroit. And then the Texans are the first team that I think might. You know what? That's wrong. I don't think
Mills might have played them out of taking a quarterback there. So
I think you're right.
Interesting.
Yeah, for me, if let's say Thibodeau, Hutchinson, and Neal are all gone at that point, I'm sitting at 4, and I'm trying to figure out what to do. I'm playing up. Content creators here. I think we should talk up the quarterback class as much as possible. Get someone to jump in front of the Giants. Giants are blowing smoke. They're saying we're going to stick with Daniel Jones. No way. Not happening. They're drafted a quarterback top of the draft, or they're trading for Russell Wilson, one or the other. I would rather trade down from 4, assuming the Seattle pick right now, I think you're 7 maybe. If that's 7, 8, 9, 10, somewhere in that range, I would rather trade down from 4, I think, move back into like the 10 to 15 range, and then go with someone like either Karlaftis or 𝐗-𝐷 with the Seattle pick, kind of depending on where you are. It's sort of a lot hinges on that because like I really want edge, so I don't want to trade out and miss out on the top 4 edges by accident. But then I would look to maybe add a first for next year, and then with that 10 through 15 pick, look at maybe a receiver or a linebacker or something along those lines. I think that's more, or maybe even Linderbaum if he's there. Like there's other options that I would be more comfortable than maybe pulling the trigger on Hamilton at 4. If all the edges are gone and Hamilton's sitting there at 8 or 9 or whatever, like, okay, fine. Like I'm not going to be upset with that. The other part of me is like, okay, what happens if Neal's on the board? Are you taking Neal at 4 and then you're taking, I don't know, I would look at probably Karlaftis or 𝐗-𝐷 at the Seattle pick. And if they're not there, then like, okay, am I looking at receiver? Like, do we just go all in on like go tackle, receiver, Trey McBride, the tight end, and then like, I don't know, just blow out the offense, totally rebuild it completely, and then worry about defense like next year. Like, who cares? With a bad defense, you're going to lose some games next year too. So you're going to have a pretty decent pick regardless. But I would think we'd
hope it's low teens.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm hoping somewhere in like the 13 to, I don't know what the playoffs put it at. Is it 18 right now? I think 18. 13 to 18. I want to be
the playoffs. Well, actually, wouldn't it be 16 now? Because there's 7 teams. So 7, 14, 32, 18. Well, 18. 18.
Math is hard. I know because I was trying to do scheduling and whatnot before, and it's
7, 14. Yeah, 7, 14 minus 32. Yeah, okay, 18. Okay, all right.
They only added 2 more teams, and it used to be 20. Yeah. No, I'm like, so I hope towards the end of November, beginning of December, we're not eliminated from playoff contention. I want to be in the hunt at that point. That would mean a lot to me at that point. 7-10 is probably low side for where I hope we wind up. And then 10-7. I don't know if you saw that the official teams who we're going to play are actually out because of where teams are right now. We actually know.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. We're playing I think it's the AFC North, NFC North, and then I think we have the Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
What's the other team?
The schedule, I know I looked at it. It looks relatively tough, but that's based on now. Like we're looking at they're playing the Seahawks. Is Wilson going to be there? If he's not, completely different team. You're playing the Steelers.
Packers.
Is it Big Ben? Packers, which by the way, I plan on going to. Packers, I got to see that stadium. And I go to a stadium a year, so that's definitely what I'm going to target. But if he's gone, if Rodgers is gone, if Devontae Adams is gone, completely different teams. So obviously we have a lot of time to go. But yeah, you'd hope next year that listen, like how many years has it been since we're pretty much out of it by October? Like October 1st, we're like, shit, it was a good first 2-3 weeks. But if they're actually in it in like December, like you said, like 7, 8, 9 wins, like I'm comfortable with that because I expect that next year to still be a building year. And then 2023 is when we're like going for it. Like they should really, really add to the roster. So, but with this draft, yeah, I right now it depends on Karlaftis if he rises, but I really like at this juncture, January, remember that. Karlaftis, Neal, Hamilton, I think are the 3 at 4 that I feel like they would take. But obviously, again, if I watch it and I'm not comfortable with saying he's not generational. I'm talking about generational, like best since I've been watching. But Ed Reed was even it was like what, like 13th, 14th, 18th, somewhere in the teens.
Yeah, I think he was towards the late teens. I think.
I'm talking about the best safety prospect we've seen in years, like Derwin James level, even without the injury, is good because Derwin James fell a little bit because of injuries. If he's that good, I get it. Even though I wouldn't necessarily love it. If Neal, again, isn't that good, whatever, trade down. And I'm one of the people, like, I'm on both. I'm sitting evenly on the fence. Like, it's right in my crotch because I get the need for like a receiver. I get the Ja'Marr Chase argument, which to me, there's no Ja'Marr Chase in this draft. That is one.
Agreed.
There's no Ja'Marr Chase. With it being said, stack up the offense for Wilson, 100% get it. But with that being said, if you're looking at just individually the positions, not in terms of what will help Zach Wilson, receivers probably the 6th or 7th biggest need right now. Linebacker is a massive need, massive. Safety probably twice is a bigger need than receiver right now. Starting level corner, number 1. I know Echols is a good story, but a starting level corner is a bigger need than receiver right now. Right guard, bigger need. Tight end, bigger need. So it depends on how the board falls. It'll be really interesting.
Adam Gase drops in with the super chat. He said, if I was coach of the Jets, I would have won yesterday. And then he drops in another $2 super chat saying, for every 50 likes, Ryan will chug a beer. Well, I've only got 1 beer, so I'd have to go down to the basement if I got 50 additional likes on this. So I kind of hope it doesn't hit that. I don't really want to go all the way down to the basement. All right. Let's.
I'm a bad influence. The one time you had a shotgun a beer, now you're chugging beers. I don't really see you ever do that otherwise. So one night when I'm off, I'll join you in the drinking festivities.
Dude, the shotgunning of the beer was my own damn fault because I was supposed to shotgun a beer with you at the home opener with the Patriots, and I didn't do it. I didn't even come over and see you like a jerk of a friend, and that
was bad.
Oops. So I had a shotgun a beer. Let's talk some controversial stuff that might have happened. The first one, I'll throw this out there. Brandon Echols gets the ball that he intercepted from Tom Brady signed. I saw some people lose their top over this, and I want to get your thoughts. How are you feeling about Brandon Echols getting the ball signed?
I think people are a bunch of freaking soft assholes. Like, who cares? It's like, sorry. Like, I'm sorry. The guy's won 7 Super Bowls. He's probably considered the best player in football history, maybe the best sports player of all time in terms of his championships. He picked them off. He wants to get the ball signed. Like, who cares? Like if I picked him off, I would want to do it too. It's not a big deal to me. I get the competitor stuff, but they lost the game already. It's not like you're rivals. It's not like it was a playoff game. You're 4-13 at that point. Like, you can't get a ball signed by the best quarterback of all time, and you're one of the not few people who's been playing for 1,000 years to pick him off, but still, rookie year you pick off Tom Brady. Like, what can you ask for anything better as a rookie? Minus obviously win a Super Bowl, whatever. But like, it's get over yourselves. Like, I hate trying to make stories out of absolutely nothing. That's just my whatever.
I lost my top when I saw people like going nuts about this. Like, you got to be kidding me. Like, this is a guy, he's a rookie, right? So what is he, 23, 22 years old, somewhere in that realm?
He's like 21. And
so 21, his entire life, Tom Brady has been playing. His entire life, this kid looked up to Tom Brady. I mean, like, I know Zach definitely did, quarterback. I get that. But like, you literally watched the GOAT play the entire time. If he was playing for the Patriots, maybe I'd feel a little more agitated. But like, Brady's on the Bucs, and even then, like, screw that. Like, historical quarterback, get the ball signed. That's a memorabilia thing. You'll never have that opportunity again. Like, zero problem with that whatsoever.
People need to go to the gym. People need to go outside. People need to get a girlfriend. People need to find other interests. They got to do something other than worry about Brandon Echols getting a ball signed. Like, that's my opinion. Like, if you're doing that, I'm sorry, just try to get a life. That's my pretty strong opinion on that. I can't believe that's a story right now.
Yes, completely agree. Now, jumping stories a little bit to something really wacky that I think I haven't ever seen ever. And that's Antonio Brown walking off the field. Mr. Big Chest rips his shirt off, throws his shoulder pads on the ground, and walks off the field. The only other person that I could think of was almost kind of like that was that cornerback from Buffalo that retired at halftime. I can't think of his name.
Vernon Davis. Or not Vernon Davis. Someone Davis. Because Vernon Davis is the tight end, right?
Whatever Davis. It's no, yeah. Vontae Davis?
Vontae Davis. Yeah, he played with the Colts the year before. I knew he played for the Colts.
Colts or Dolphins, I think. He was with one of those two teams.
Colts, Dolphins, Bills, maybe?
Yeah. But he retired at halftime during a Bills game. Like, that's the closest thing to what I've seen. Antonio Brown, this guy is friggin' unhinged. There's definitely something's going on.
He's got an unbalanced chemicals on his head for sure.
Oh, dude. I mean, just from his last time in Pittsburgh, he like ever since he got traded to Oakland, he vetoed the trade to Buffalo. He like, oh, my helmet doesn't fit in I guess it was Oakland at that time, not LA. But like, this guy's all over the place. Does this guy ever wind up playing again?
without a different helmet? Yeah, and like the thing with it too is like I think it was because like, and people are legitimately like questioning this. It was after he got hit. I forget what game he got hit and like laid out. Ever since then, he's been a little bit off. I forget what game that was.
Bengals Steelers playoff game.
Was it? What's his name? Who's that linebacker who was dirty? Was it him?
Vontaze Burfict.
Vontaze Burfict, yeah.
Shit out of him. Yeah. Oh,
that was him.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Like he was kind of a little unhinged from what I started doing a little bit of research, and it seems like he's had some issues before that, but like, yeah, definitely unhinged since then.
Well, diva, but not like actually crazy. Like I've known people legitimately. Like there was this kid. I wasn't really close with him, but in high school, really normal kid, like super like chill, whatever. And then he was longboarding and smashed his head. And after that, he was like hitchhiking to Texas, like just whacked out of his mind. Like he was crazy. So that stuff can really affect you. And I think it has. And obviously it was something to the effect of like Bruce Arians. They were arguing on the sideline. They're all pissed off. Bruce Arians told them to go in for this rep or this set or whatever. And he said no. And they're okay. Well, then leave, like get off, leave. Or whatever, and he was like, "Okay, screw it," and he just took his shit off and threw it. And like, it's funny too, because like you could see in the replay, you could see the two cops, like they're like looking at him, they're kind of like, you can tell in their head, they're like, "Son of a bitch, I really don't want to tackle.
We can do this right now."
No, they're not. That's the problem. You're gonna have to. And you're gonna look like a complete asshole. You're not.
Oh, dude, he's a streaker. He's a man on the field. Go get him.
Yeah, no way. Not Antonio Brown. So you're gonna look like a complete jerk trying to chase him. It is what it is.
It would have been amazing to watch some chubby like security guard tackle him. Oh my god, I would have wet myself.
Yeah, and the thing is too, like, is he one, is he done with football? I think at this point, who's the hell's going to sign this guy? Maybe a contender. But with that, I think he was actually on the field too, like during a play. So like, now does he get fined for that? Like walking on the field like that? So like
100% should.
He is a loser, that guy. One of the best receivers in the last 2 decades in terms of like his actual talent, Hall of Fame level stats, Hall of Fame level player. But does he make it with all these things in his resume? I don't think so. Well, that's a hard discussion to have. But I don't think so. If I had a vote, so yeah, that was the first and probably the last time we'll ever see that in a game.
I saw someone. My buddy, who's a Patriots fan, sent me a picture of Antonio Brown, and they photoshopped it with him like with his hands up, and they put the cheerleader pom-poms on and like a Jets cheerleader outfit. Like Jets got a new cheerleader. I'm just like, oh god.
He was hyping up the crowd.
He was. I saw it. It's just, the arms going up and down. Just this guy's ridiculous.
Should we sign him? That's the next controversial topic.
God damn it, Joe. No, we're not signing Antonio Brown. Don't start that. Don't start it.
There will be somebody out there. You'll have one person here.
Oh, there's someone. There's always someone in there. SDA Jets says, do we trade both twos to trade up and draft linebacker Lloyd? No, absolutely not. I'm not giving up 2 seconds. I want all 4 picks in the top 2 rounds to be made. Only thing I'm doing is trading down. If you want to trade a 3rd or 4th or 5th, fine with whatever you got to do, but I don't want to give up those top 4. I think the top 4, I would like to make those picks. We need a lot of help.
Yeah, that's a lot of premium capital for a team who has a lot of holes. Like, if we were like, the Bucs, let's say, and we needed like just throw out a random position out there, they needed a corner, and you want that to do that, okay, fine. But like you said, if it's like, okay, you're at pick whatever 39, and there's a player you really really like at 37, and he's not going to get past 38, you want to trade a 6th round pick? Oh, like okay, like I get that, but 2 twos. For one player, no. And like, again, we had to figure out where all these guys go. And I always give the example of Shaun Wade last year. Everybody wanted him top 10 pick, all this stuff. Right. I obviously you do 2 streams a week. How many people in the beginning of the draft when the Jets were going to finish 1 or 2, Stingley.
Yep.
That's all you heard. Now people are saying he's going to be maybe the third corner off the board. So you can't look at guys now and just assume they're going to go where they're supposed to go, because we still have medicals to go through. We still have the combine if that happens. We have a lot of stuff to go through before we figure that out. Okay, sorry. Watching. There's a deep ball to the Steelers. Hopefully they're not getting the red zone. Okay. All right. Whew, okay.
Keep him out.
Sorry. I'm still trying to talk. I can't breathe. Yeah, no, I'm not trading multiple picks. And yeah, we have to see where these guys go. But now Stingley is below what is it? Sauce Gardner and Booth. Like people are saying it might be above him. And just probably a month ago, that was every other chat you'd see in live streams was talking about how they need Stingley. So we'll see. It's kind of just be patient.
Yeah, I would say for me, I don't think cornerback is a spot I really want to put a ton of energy into, at least in the first round. Like things would have to break pretty poorly for me to pull the trigger on a corner in the first round, I think. And that's not to say I don't like any of them. I feel like this defense seems more predicated on its edge rushers and the heat you can get to the quarterback, as opposed to maybe an elite corner. Like I think you could get by with maybe a little less at those positions. Here's something that I thought was pretty funny. And so totally unjet related, but something really cool football related. If the Colts lose to the Jaguars on Sunday, and I guess the Raiders and Chargers play each other, if the Raiders and Chargers would both get into the playoffs with a tie, literally there would be no motivation for any team in the Chargers versus Raiders matchup. They could kneel every single play. Offense, like both teams were like, hey, we're both going to get in. They just kneel the entire time with a tie getting in. I want nothing more than the Colts to lose to the Jaguars. I know it's never going to happen as far as kneeling, but man, I would laugh so hard if that happened. Have you ever heard anything like that?
I don't think so.
That blew my mind.
I see some people in here talking about the Stingley thing, and somebody said Stingley's going number 4. I guarantee he doesn't go in the top 5. The thing with Stingley is fantastic talent, like top tier. Like he's the best corner in the draft. The problem is he has a lot of injuries, and team consider that, especially in the top 10. Like later down, you can kind of push it off to the side a little bit. When you're taking a guy in the top 5 and he already has injury problems, that's why he's dropping. Go look at like PFN or the Draft Network or PFF, whatever site you use, and you could see him slowly starting to drop because of the injury. I think Draft Network, I'm already doing 1,000 mock drafts a day, has him like the 13th player. Like he's gonna drop because of injuries, unless he goes to gets medicals, and the medicals say these are all flukes. They're not anything structural. All this stuff. Then yes, he's easily the best corner in the draft. But you have to consider injuries, and right now, that's the massive question with him. Massive. You can see there's people in chat like D. Milner, which he's better than D. Milner ever was, but the injury problems are similar. And D. Milner, he was he up and down rookie year, but those last 4 games, didn't he run like what rookie of the month? It was like the Browns game, Panthers game, Dolphins maybe in another game. He actually played really well, but he could stay on the field. So great. Stingley can be uber talented, but if he can't play, he can't play. Like it is what it is. So.
John D. Lee, thank you so much for the super chat. He says, which tight end in free agency would fit this offense? I would like to address tight end both in free agency and in the draft. Trey McBride is the tight end I would like in the draft. I think he's the best one of the bunch. At least from like the highlight clips that I've watched so far. Free agency, I'd like to venture on the upside. Like gamble on a guy that's not like someone like an O.J. Howard, like had a bunch of talent coming out of college, had the injury last year, stuck behind Brayton Gronk. Like that's the type of player that I would throw $4 million at and just hope that it would work out. 1-year contract. Someone like David Njoku is someone else that I would like to look at. I don't think 𝐗-𝐁𝐭𝐬 makes sense. I don't think 𝐗-𝐁𝐭𝐬 hits free agency. I think he gets franchise tagged. He would be the one I'd want, I think, of anyone. I really like the idea of pulling away players from a division rival because it adds more juice to that matchup. The same thing with like a maybe like a J.C. Jackson up in New England, same sort of idea. So I would say 𝐗-𝐭𝐬, and then Njoku, and then Howard would probably be the three,
Yeah.
as far as I know. I don't really know who else is free agent. I know Ertz is a free agent, but I would be shocked if he left Arizona.
No, you want Dalton Schultz is another name that people are bringing up. That's probably my number one right now, just based.
Colt?
No, he's on the Cowboys, Schultz. But the thing. So I get the whole like Stingley or not Stingley thing. Gesicki thing. The problem with Gesicki is he's basically a big slot receiver. With this system, heavy 21 or obviously preferably heavy 21, heavy 12. He's not an inline guy, so he's not a fit for this system. So he's a guy I'm out on because I don't want to pay a guy upper tier tight end money who's not going to fit the system ideally. So you don't want to pay $12-13 million for somebody who can't block because they have to change the system to something they don't want it to be. Obviously heavy in line. So Gesicki's a guy I completely stay away from. So I'm thinking Schultz. OJ Howard's more like Schultz would be more of like not necessarily solve it, but I would be much more comfortable with it. Where OJ Howard's still like, okay, you definitely need a guy in the first 3 rounds. Where Schultz is like, okay, secondary need where you're not primary, but with Howard, it's like, okay, let's get that guy in the first 3 rounds. I know Gerald Everett's a guy who's not necessarily the best blocker, so a little bit out on him. But yeah, guys like Schultz, Howard, because he has a physical upside. There's another guy or two who I'm thinking of, but I would really like with those positions that are so like such massive needs, I want to address them in free agency so you don't go into the draft with with pigeonholing yourself into taking needs. Like you can't go into the draft with no tight end, with no safety. Like you go into the draft needing 2 safeties, you're kind of screwed because they have nothing right now. Like say what you will about Elijah Riley. Maybe he's a 3rd or 4th guy. He hasn't shown he could be a starter. Obviously, he blew the last play of the game. Ashton Davis has looked terrible. So with that all being said, you need 2 guys there. So I would like to see safety, tight end as like the major 2 needs in free agency. And in terms of, I think people are talking about receiver too in terms of fit there. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just making stuff up. But with that being said, it kind of hurts because I know I was a pretty big Gallup fan, and then Gallup obviously fantasy playoffs. Same. He's on my freaking team. At least he caught the ball, but did he tear his ACL or Achilles?
ACL. Dude,
ACL.
Godwin and Gallup were the 2 guys. I was like, man, if there's 2 receivers I would look at for agency, it was those 2. And I was like, shit. Yeah. Christian Kirk is the one that I would look at now.
Yeah, I would love to see how much yak he's able to get. And people talk about like Allen Robinson too. I just the way he's playing this year, unless it's something where he's been injured and he's kind of and maybe he's dogging it because he's with Fields. At the same time, you don't want a guy who's dogging with Fields because he's going to go to the situation with the Jets where it's hopefully obviously it's going to be better than the Bears. I would assume the 2021 Bears versus 2022 Jets is a better situation. But that's a guy I'm not really willing to pay $15, $16, $17 million for a guy who's a little bit past his prime. So receivers are going to be interesting. Yeah, I think like the Kirks out there, like I think it's more of like a 2nd tier signing. So again, you're not forcing yourself because if you go into the offseason, which listen, it's not ideal. Like you want that true Devontae Adams type. But if you go into the draft with Christian Kirk, Berrios, Elijah Moore, Corey Davis, like it's a solid group. It's not the best in the league, but yeah, it'll be interesting.
Now, in terms of like receiver, is there a type of receiver? Because I'm looking at the draft, and when I look at the kid from Purdue, I think it's David Bell. He seems to look like what Elijah Moore was, like a shifty kind of guy. Then you got someone like is it London from USC, who's like the big guy. There's London and there's Burks. There's 2 guys that are like 6'4", 6'5", bigger bodied guys. That's kind of what I'd like, but I don't know. It seems like the tight end is going to be more of that large red zone target, and the receivers are going to be more like crisp route runner type prospects. I don't know if that's like right or wrong, but it seems like that's what it is.
Yeah, it's like interesting because they could use a few things. And I know the Williams guy, it's like almost got me thinking speed. But they also do like they need that like true X. Like it's obviously like it's like cheating to say Devontae Adams because he could do everything. But if I'm looking for one thing, like I want like a speedy yak guy. Because I don't really like that's kind of what Moore is, but you want a guy who's a little bit bigger than Moore. Like people talk about like Mike Williams. I saw them, it's not to call anybody out. Mike Williams, a little bit older, more injury prone than not, and more of a guy like a vertical offense type guy. Like the Jets, while they need somebody to take off the top off the defense, I think it's more speed than like contested catches based on how their offense is run. So I would say I'm looking for speed. Like I'm looking for a legit guy who could take it to the house just like Moore can. And then Davis he's an X receiver. He's just not like a true elite X Randy Moss, obviously Devontae Adams. Like he's not a true number one. He's like a high end number two, but he still plays X. So I was looking for more of like a speed guy. Somebody says Yoshi, like Deebo Samuel. He's not necessarily speed, but that's yak. Like it's speed or yak, ideally both. But yeah, Deebo Samuel would be that's sure. I'll take Deebo minus the injuries. But yeah, I'm looking for more Deebo type than Mike Williams type, just because Mike Williams is more vertical. You want guys who run really good routes and crossing routes. Yak guys, where again, Mike Williams is not a guy to break a lot of tackles, and he's kind of more injury prone than not. So,
MC22, someone on Twitter said the Jets should get a shot at coaching the Senior Bowl. Honestly, that would be cool. See any thoughts? Yeah, I would love to see that. I do think that generally goes to like. It's weird because the Jets, who did it last year? It was the Jaguars, and it was
it's the top two teams who aren't new staffs, or is it the top three teams who aren't new staffs? It's either 2 or 3.
Okay, so that's what. But that,
Jaguars,
why would the Jaguars have done it? Jaguars did it last year, I'm pretty sure.
Did they do it last year?
I'm like almost positive it was.
I don't think so.
Was it not last year? Who did it last year? Chat, let us know who did it last year. I would love for them to do it. I think the Jets should be like one of those teams that gets an opportunity to look at some of these young guys. And I think it would be awesome. Like,
oh, sorry, I could be wrong, but I do think it's the top 2 or 3 teams who don't have new staffs. But I could be wrong. That's not my area, but I don't really know. Top 2 who don't have new staffs is correct usually. George Doris, unless it changed. I don't know. So you're assuming
that Jacksonville didn't do it. Maybe they did.
The Jags don't have a new staff, or they're going to have a new staff.
Oh, maybe it was the Dolphins that did it last year.
Did they?
Is that right? I mean, it would make sense. They were the first. Well, no, it would be the Texans, right?
Yeah, but they just hired was McCauley is his name? Yeah, McCauley. Yeah. So he's not going to be new. The Jags is going to be new. The Lions isn't going to be new. So you assume it's going to be the Jags, or sorry, the Lions and the Texans right now. So I think the Jets have to get into the top 3 past the Texans to coach the Senior Bowl.
Okay, interesting. I would love to see that happen. That would be absolutely awesome. I think the ability to see young players right now. We're getting the freeze beam. It took this long, but we're moving again. It would be cool to see, because one thing that I really like about Joe Douglas is he seems to target captains, and I think being able to have that little bit of an interview process and just see how these guys sort of tick. All the seniors there, they've been through it. You have the most tape on these guys. Like, I really enjoy the Senior Bowl, and it's one of those things that, like, if we take advantage of it, it'd be pretty nice to kind of see. So MC22, I would like to see the Jets do it. I don't know if it winds up happening. What else are you guys talking about in the chat? We got like 3 minutes, so we'll try to.
We have some people talking about Michael Thomas and Henry Ruggs. I would say no to both. Just thinking.
I like Michael Thomas too.
I do, but you've heard a little bit that he's a little bit of a drama queen, and just based on the fact you said, Joe Douglas likes his captains, he likes his locker room type players. So bringing in Michael Thomas, who's a little bit of a diva and a guy who you could see saying, in situation X where he only gets 2 targets a game for 3 games in a row because the game plan didn't call for it. You could see him kind of bitching. And for a young quarterback, that's not good. You do not want that. Yes. You want the Corey Davis, who again, obviously people fell out of love with him a little bit this year, but like a guy who's quiet and more of like a leader type. Obviously the Elijah Moore, who people can't stop talking about his leadership ability. So to bring in a Michael Thomas, I don't like that idea. And obviously Ruggs is probably going to be in jail next year. So I don't think they can sign him. Yeah, he's not. People are like, oh, sign him. He's going to be in it. Unless the court system works wonders for him, he's going to be in jail, or he should be in jail.
Yeah, 100%. What's up, Green Bean? I see you in the chat. My dude, I'll see you tomorrow. Let's see. Scott says, I legit forgot Michael Thomas existed.
I know. In this league I'm playing in the championship in, the 2 things that really suck is minus whatever. Who people don't even care, but drafted Michael Thomas, never played. DeAndre Hopkins hasn't played since week 13. I had to cut him. Like, it just sucks. I wish I had those 2 guys.
You had both those players?
Yeah, I had DeAndre Hopkins. He was like my third round pick, or high second, or low second, or high third. I forget what it was. And Michael Thomas, people didn't want him because they figured he was going to be suspended or hurt all year, or whatever the hell it was. And I drafted him like the 10th round, 9th round, and he never played. So that really sucked.
I mean, hey, it's a good draft pick that late. Like, I'm big on trying to draft those guys. Like, I took Gronk one year after he had retired. I was like, oh, maybe he'll come back out. And I took Des Bryant the 1 year, and then he came back, signed with the Saints. I was like, I knew it. I got it. He was my last pick, and then he tore his Achilles. I was like, son of a bitch.
Yeah. And I see Mark asking about Juju. Juju's a kind of the same thing. Like guy who was like
nothing with Juju.
What was the team that he came out onto their logo in the middle of the field and was like dancing and doing like TikToks and shit. It's like, what are you doing? So no,
get the fuck out of here. I don't want no part of Juju. Not to mention, I don't know if he would want to come here anyway because of how the relationship with Sam kind of ended. It seems like they're tighter. I don't know. I want no part of that. I liked Gallup. I liked Godwin. Those were the two that I really would have liked to have seen. Guys that wanted to maybe be that number one wide receiver that were stuck behind Mike Evans, stuck behind Antonio Brown, stuck behind Gronk, stuck behind CeeDee Lamb, stuck behind Amari Cooper. I think it's not outlandish to think Amari Cooper could possibly be cut. I think let me pull up his contract real quick. I'm pretty sure they could save almost his entire contract. What's their cap situation? I know they're bad. So they're 13 million over. They're going to roll 15 into next year. So they're 2 million they have 2 million to spend. And Amari Cooper would save them $16 million if they cut him. So I could see them re-signing Gallup to a 1-year prove-it deal, cutting Amari Cooper at 28 years old. Does he become an option for the New York Jets? I think that would be interesting. What do you think?
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I'm going to combine two ideas. We and obviously this is just I'm just shooting shit into the dark here. It'd be funny to sign Cooper for 2 years, cut him, and then I like Stud City's idea. Wait till AJ Brown becomes a free agent, reunite him with Moore. So you have Cooper for 2 years and you sign AJ Brown in 2 years. That's my official plan for right now.
Wow, that would be awesome. AJ Brown and Elijah Moore have such a good relationship that I can definitely see that thing happening. That's almost like I'm sort of hoping if we do go safety and free agency, if the Bengals decide to let Jesse Bates walk, the relationship possibly with Carl Lawson coming from Cincinnati, maybe there's some defensive connection that he could try to help him out a little bit. That would be fantastic because I don't love the idea of going Hamilton in the draft unless, like you said, if he is legit generational. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not talking Jamal Adams, number 6 overall, or Malik Hooker, number 12 overall, or whatever he wound up going. I'm talking like this guy will impact every play, like Troy Polamalu, someone like Ed Reed. That's where I could get on board with it. I think if it's anything less than that, I'm not touching him with a 10-foot pole, especially because like he was, I don't know, he didn't play a full season this year. I think he only played like 3 games.
He was hurt at the end, so you had to see the medicals too. But I don't think it was anything like catastrophic in terms of injuries. Okay. But yeah, he has to be generational. That's the only way. Not very, 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 very good. I'm talking about generational, like the best I've seen again since Derwin James, and I'm talking about Derwin James healthy. Derwin James fell a little bit because of health problems, at least to my best knowledge. So yeah, it all depends. There's a lot that's interesting. The offseason's the best time for Jets fans, so we'll see.
It's like our Super Bowl. It's my favorite time to make content because nothing's wrong at this point. Everything's out in the open, and you're just trying to figure stuff out. All right, boys and girls, we have gotten to the end of our stream. Joe, thank you so much for hopping on again and talking some football. I really hope, for your sake, that Freiermuth does nothing tonight.
Why would you say that?
I hope he scores a zillion touchdowns. That's exactly what I want to see.
They're at the 5.5 yard line right now. I'm a little bit behind.
I didn't know that. I'm not watching. I'm talking to you.
My hands are sweating. I can't. Yeah, no. It's too much. It's too much money right now to be on the line right now. So I'm hoping they just score and they just throw it to someone else. Deontay Johnson, touchdown. Okay, sweet. Sorry. Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Not Freiermuth. This is good. I love it. Joe, thank you so much for coming on. Tell the guys where they could find you and let us know what you got going on.
Live streams every Thursday with either myself and Nania, myself and Kyle Smith. I'm going on Green Bean's channel. I think it's gonna be this Thursday or next Thursday if he's gonna be flexible. I'll talk to him behind the scenes, but either this Thursday or next Thursday, hopefully. I'll be on with Green Bean. The film shows, again, I know that people don't want to watch 2 hours of film unless you're like a junkie. Like I see some junkies in here. Like I know the junkies. Yoshi's a junkie. With that being said, though, if you want to go and just find the Zach Wilson part, if you are a subscriber, go and watch 30 minutes and watch me gloat about him. It's not just, oh, look at this throw. It's a bit breaking down like the coverages and what he sees and him going off of reads early and the footwork. Like it's all the good stuff you really, really want to get into the nitty gritty of and understanding about players. So go check me out, 𝐗-𝐅𝐵31 on Twitter, and then Jets X Factor. You'll obviously find me there. And I appreciate everybody in the chat, and I appreciate you, Ryan.
Yeah, of course. Dude, I'd love having you on. I get so excited. So you had mentioned you were coming on next week. Is that true?
Oh, yeah. That's another thing. Back next Monday.
I love it. We
I
get
ain't
to
leaving.
see one more week of Mr. Joe Blewett after our final game of the season when we bounce the Buffalo Bills from the division title. Jets are going to pull out a victory. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. My name's Ryan. This is Jets Talk signing off. JETS.